hello again everybody, I am Chris Ryan Filippelli, and today is a very sad day in the United States of America. On this day, 19 years ago, the United States went under attack as a group of terrorists hijacked multiple planes and flew them into monuments of our country. But let's start from the beginning. It was Tuesday, September 11th, 2001, a very quiet, calm day around the United States. Everything seemed normal until American Airlines Flight 11 took off from Boston and was heading to New York City. However, a group of suicide hijackers took over the plane and went straight for the North Tower of the World Trade Centers in New York City. At 8:46 a.m., American Airlines Flight 11 flew straight into the North Tower of the World Trade Centers at roughly 466 miles per hour. At 9:02 a.m., American Airlines Flight 175 crashes into the South Tower of the World Trade Centers at about 590 miles per hour. Then, at 9:37 a.m., American Airlines Flight 77 crashes into the western side of the United States Pentagon at 530 miles per hour. 56 minutes after the impact of American Airlines Flight 175, the South Tower of the World Trade Center collapses. The president and vice president at the time were evacuated from the White House as American Airlines Flight 93 was heading straight for there. However, at 10:03 a.m., passengers stormed the cockpit where the hijackers were, and they crashed the plane in an open field in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, to save the president's life. Shortly after, the North Tower of the World Trade Center collapses at 10:28 a.m. After the tower fell, there was a photo with 3 firefighters hoisting up an American flag on top of all the debris from where the towers once stood. At that point, where all the debris was, that was called Ground Zero in Manhattan, in New York City. There were many huge pieces of the tower and all dust everywhere from after the towers fell. As you can tell, September 11th, 2001 was a very tragic day in the United States of America. A total of nearly 3,000 people died from the attacks, 19 hijackers committed suicide, and more than 6,000 others were injured. The immediate deaths included 265 on the 4 planes, including the terrorists, 2,606 in the World Trade Center and the surrounding area, and 125 at the Pentagon. The attacks were the deadliest terrorist act in world history and the most devastating foreign attack on the United States soil since the attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941. Most of the people who passed were civilians, except for 343 firefighters and 71 law enforcement officers who died in the World Trade Center and on the ground in New York. Although this was a very tragic day in the US, we must remember those who lost their lives and their families and keep them in our hearts on this very sad and tragic day. There is now a memorial park where the towers once stood, and there are holes in the ground that are being filled with water every second in New York City where the towers were. On the outside of the foundation is all these plaques with names of all the people who passed on 9/11. Every year, On the night of September 11th, these blue lights shine from where the towers once stood. My dad played college baseball, and one of the team members that was on his team, Marty, passed on September 11th, 2001. He was in the World Trade Centers, and he worked on floor 101. And once the plane hit the center, he burned to death immediately. It was on instant impact. There were no remains because the towers fell and stuff, but he was the catcher for the team, and it was very sad to see that happen, and probably to hear about it. My mom's cousin, who worked at the World Trade Centers, went to go get a cup of coffee, and that cup of coffee had saved her life, because if she didn't go to get that cup of coffee, she would have died also in the Trade Center attacks. So that is just like amazing to think about. And one of her other cousins who also worked there overslept that day and didn't make it in on time to the World Trade Centers. And thank God she didn't, because if she did, she would have died also. So lots of miraculous stories, lots of great stories come out of this, but also lots of terrible ones as well. So gotta remember that, the people who died, and we gotta keep them in our hearts on this very sad day. Many more people died after September 11th, 2001 from the side effects of the dust cloud that came down. Since the towers fell down, there was a massive dust cloud with debris and toxic dust that killed so many people, that gave them all these different types of cancers, and people unfortunately are still dying today from the World Trade Center attacks. So that is very unfortunate, and it had a massive side effect from the towers falling, and still, as I said, people are dying today from the attacks. Shortly after September 11th, there were no planes allowed to fly out of the airports because of security reasons and worrying that there was going to be another terrorist attack. Therefore, no plane in the United States could take off, and no planes from other countries could come into the United States because of worrying that there was going to be another terrorist attack. So that is just super crazy to think about. When you hear planes every day in the sky, think about not hearing a single one all day. The world standing still, the world being quiet. And that's basically what it felt like on the days after September 11th, 2001. Kids at the time were also rushed out of school because of this, worrying there were going to be bombs in the schools and that there was going to be so much chaos everywhere. So therefore, schools didn't reopen probably until the next day, I'd say. But there was no school on the rest of the day for September 11th because there was just so much chaos going around the United States at the time. And the Air Force tried to shoot down a couple of the planes, but never got the chance to, I believe. So it's crazy to think about, super chaotic, but so many people perished on this tragic day. So it's just awful. Even though this video was very sad, hope you enjoyed. This took over a week and a half to make, so hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for watching. Keep these people in your hearts, and I'm gonna leave you with this. On this day, we don't stand down, we stand together.